class. Thank you for coming in today. Thank you for being on time. As you all know, it's one of the very most important things in life is to show up on time, learning about discipline. But off my high note here, we're going to be learning a lesson on the greatest common factor and least common multiple. This is standard MAFS 0.6 NS.2.4. Now, as we get into the lesson, it's very important that we understand a couple definitions. So everyone, please get out your notebooks and something to write with. I will be sure to take my time as we go through these definitions so you can record the definitions, as it will be very useful later on in the lesson. Our first definition of the day is the least common multiple. The least common multiple is the least of the non-zero common multiples of two or more numbers. Go ahead and take your time and write that down. Okay, moving on, definition number 2. The greatest common factor is the greatest of the factors common to two or more numbers. I'll repeat that again. The greatest common factor is the greatest of the factors common to two or more numbers. Very good. This is 3 of 4 definitions for the day coming up. The third definition is a multiple, which is the product of a number and any whole number. So again, a multiple is the product of a number and any whole number. Everyone have that? Okay, very good. And the final definition of the day, definition number 4, is a factor. And a factor is a number that is multiplied by another to yield a product. Now we have these definitions all recorded in your notebooks. I want you to know a couple key words as we move on in the lesson. First one is greatest number. The greatest number means to find the greatest common factor. This greatest common factor is abbreviated as GCF, as you'll see in the PowerPoint. Greatest number means greatest common factor, which is abbreviated as GCF. The least number means to find the least common multiple, which is abbreviated LCM. L as in land, C as in cat, M as in mouse. So greatest common factor means finding the greatest number, and least number means finding the least common multiple. Now, as we all know, it's my policy, if I ever ask you a question and I ask you to write it down, I expect you to write an answer. Whether or not it's the right answer or not is not important right now, but I wanted to give you to give it your most educated guess. So right now, what is the greatest common factor of 8 and 12? Please write down your answer, and again, if you don't know the correct answer, that's all right, but I want you to give it your best educated guess. So take a moment, do some pondering, come up with a number. Okay? Now, we're going to learn how to solve that problem. We're going to learn how to find the greatest common factor of 8 and 12, I'm sorry, I almost gave the answer away right there. So, to find all the factors of each number is what you first do to find the greatest common factor. Once you find all the factors, you select the greatest number that's common to both of the numbers. So you can use a factor tree, which will be very helpful in finding the factors of the two numbers. Now we're going to move into a story problem as an example to help us in this lesson. So the story problem reads as follows. Leah is filling numbers into a Venn diagram. No number is to be entered more than once. What is the greatest number that can be placed into the shaded area of the diagram? So we have the factors 108 and 24. What is the greatest number that can be placed into the shaded part of the diagram, common to both 108 and 24? Now the answer is 12. B. 12 is the greatest common factor of 108 and 24. How many of you got that right? Very good. Another story problem. Laura is filling numbers into the Venn diagram. No number is to be entered more than once. What is the greatest number that can be in the shaded area of the diagram? The factors are 45 and 60. What is the greatest common factor? That's right, C. 15 is the greatest common factor of 45 and 60. Now, I'd like to pass out a worksheet for us to review what we've just learned and practice. I'll be circling around the room to guide anyone who needs further assistance, and then we'll reconvene and go over the worksheet. So here's a worksheet. Well, after circulating the room, it looks like some of you are doing very well, and that's great to see. Once you get hold of the concept, it really will become easier, even as the numbers continue to get bigger. So reviewing our worksheet, we're going to find the greatest common factor for each number pair. Number 1, the greatest common factor of 8 and 24. Well, that's 8. Number 2, the greatest common factor of 2 and 4 is 2. The greatest common factor of 2 and 12 is 2. And it doesn't matter if it's 2 and 12 or 12 and 2, the greatest common factor is still 2. Almost a trick question on number 3 and 4. And then number 5, the greatest common factor of 2 and 8 is 2. Very good. So now, we're going to move on to our second objective question. What is the least common multiple of 8 and 12? Just like we did at the beginning of the lesson, I want you to write down your answer. Give me your best guess. Go ahead. Don't be scared. If you're wrong, it's okay. We're going to learn how to actually find the right answer. But give it your best guess. Okay, everybody have that down? Very good. Now we're going to move into a story problem. This will help us find the least common multiple. Sarah is filling numbers into the Venn diagram. No number is to be entered more than once. What is the least number that can be in the shaded area of the diagram? So we're trying to find the least common multiple of 15 and 24. In other words, what number will 15 be multiplied to and 24 be multiplied to that will be the same? And the answer is C, 120. Because if you multiply 15 by 8, that gets you 120. Likewise, if you multiply 24 by 5, that gets you 120. There is no number lower than 120 that both 15 and 24 multiply to. Now I'm going to pass out another sheet to help us review least common multiple. I will again be circulating the room to answer any questions or assist anyone who needs any help. If you need help, just raise your hand and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Here we go. Wow, class, you did a very great job, really catching on quickly. Not very many questions, and I saw a lot of correct answers. We're going to review the answers from the worksheet. Finding the least common multiple for each number pair. The least common multiple of 10 and 24. Who has the right answer? Here. Yes, 120 is correct. 120 is the least common multiple of 10 and 24. The least common multiple of 2 and 30 is, that's right, 30. And the least common multiple of 3 and 30 is, well, that's also 30. 3 times 10 is 30. 30 times 1 is 30. Least common multiple, 30. Now what is the least common multiple of 24 and 20? Well, we know that 5 times 24 is 120. And we know that 6 times 20 is 120. The least common multiple of 24 and 20 is 120. in our last review question, the least common multiple of 3 and 20 is what? 60. The least common multiple of 3 and 20 is 60. Now, what would be the least common multiple of 3 and 21? This is a bonus question now. 3 and 21, least common multiple. That's right. The least common multiple of 3 and 21 is 21. Well, you guys have all done very well. You paid very close attention today and worked very hard. So these questions should be relatively simple for you, now that we've learned how to find the greatest common factor and the least common multiple. So the greatest common factor of 8 and 12 is 4. As we factor out the number 8, we find that the greatest common factor is 4. And we factor out the number 12, the greatest common factor is 4. And the least common multiple of 8 and 12 is 24. Because 8 times 3 is 24, and 2 times 12 is 24, which is the least common multiple of the two numbers. Well, once again, class, great job today. Now we know how to find the greatest common factor and the least common multiple. I will be handing out an additional worksheet to review, and I expect that will be done and handed in at the beginning of class tomorrow, at which time we will review the answers and clear up any misunderstandings. Thank you for paying attention. Have a great day.